Whoa. Okay. Yo. All right. Look. A little bit of a different format. I love the way we do things. I love the fact that, hey, for me it's very easy. It's like, hey, I'm gonna train anyways. I'm going to use whatever happened in the gym as a, I guess, a teaching tool, right? The blackboard, so to speak. But it's quite limiting. It's quite, it's constricting in regards to what sort of topics I can really dive into. Because the other way, it's like, yo, I'm talking about this, but then this really good thing comes up in training that I want to speak about. Sometimes it's selfish too. It's just because something happened really good to me. I earned this really good performance, and I just want to go off into that now. And that's not fair to you guys. So I want this to be a better experience for you guys, and I want you guys to get more out of whatever I've learned in my almost 22 years of doing this thing now. So we're just gonna open up with a random topic. Quite often, where I get these topics from is going to be from just reoccurring things with my athletes, issues that just keep coming up, because if they have it, chances are a lot of you guys have it as well. So today's topic, really simple, is going to be what happens if you botch your gaining phase coming out the gates. So let's just say you had a 6 to 8 month gaining phase planned out. During this time, your goal was to gain somewhere between, we'll say, 8 to 12 pounds. All right, we won't get into the logistics, the details as to why we picked that much weight in that much time, but let's just say that was the goal, okay? That was appropriate for this person. We're 2 months into it, and what ends up happening is you've already surpassed the amount of, or you're closing in on the amount of weight gain that you were supposed to gain, at the 6 to 8 month point. What do you do? So, in my opinion, the people that this happens to the most, those are going to be the people who have spent way too much time under the stresses of caloric restriction. So they still have, I guess, some wiggles to get out of their system. And it's a sign that maybe we should stay here a bit longer. And this is where a lot of people make the wrong decision, because they feel like they botched it coming out the gates. What they do is they do that 180, they go back through that fat loss phase, go through another period of restriction, and then the cycle it keeps going, and it gets more and more vicious every time. So to me, when I look at how much willpower a fat loss phase compared to a gaining phase, or how much, I guess, to put it simply, discipline and structure that it requires, I'd definitely say that the fat loss phase probably just edges out the gaining phase. So a lot of the stuff that we see on the gaining phase has to do with errors, whether it was restriction that was just too hardcore in regards to just overall deficit, or just restricted way too many foods, whatever trauma they found they have coming from their fat loss phase, whether it's those or just way too much total time spent in a fat loss phase, it just seems to show up once we reverse the other way. So what do you do? What do you do if you get to that point? And a lot of you guys probably are not going to like this answer, but you keep doing your thing. You keep going with your gaining phase, because when we are in a well-fed state, that is where you are going to really be able to hone in on those habits, those good habits that we are all trying to, work on in one way or another. Still to this day, there's things that when I look at my whole routine, I just need to be a little bit better on top of it. And I am more likely to develop those in a well-fed state as opposed to in a calorically restricted state. So what do? You bite the bullet, you keep going with your gaining phase, and what you're going to see is that as with every passing month, a lot of the outbursts, the caloric outbursts that took place, because quite often it's not that people get their numbers wrong when it comes to gaining weight too quickly once they've decided I'm going to commit to this investment period, I'm going to commit to this gaining phase. What it usually is, it's not things that happen within the structured diet, but it's other things that happen to find their way there. It's like a social event that they weren't able to manage the way they would have liked. Probably one too many trips to the cupboard and back while they were studying. Things of that nature. So the longer you spend in that well-fed state, the more control you're going to have over those sort of things, and you're going to be able to balance things out. And you're going to see that, okay, maybe month 2 and 3 were kind of like whack, but then you get to like month 5, 6, 7, 8, and you're going to see that things kind of start to smooth out just a little bit. And look, it might put you over your projected weight gain, right? But at the end, again, this is an investment period, not just because of the muscle we are trying to gain here, but also when it comes to rewiring the way you work up here, when it comes to getting yourself to to behave in a manner that is more conducive to your long-term goals. So to me, if you botched it, honestly, bite the bullet, keep going with it, and you're going to see that sticking to it the whole way through, or and sometimes in many cases even seeing that, you know what, this is going so well, I am on a roll in regards to how much in control I feel during this gaining phase, that you might want to extend it even a bit further. Because again, a lot of this shaky behavior does come from the fat loss side of the coin. Like, that is what we're trying to get away from that trauma long enough so that we can forget it, rewire ourselves, and we're going to have, because of this, we're going to have a better fat loss phase on the way down next time we decide to cut. And then the same thing once we decide to march our way back again for the next gaining phase. You're going to see that a lot of those botched gaining phases, you're going to see that it happens less frequently, and the magnitude of your behavioral explosions, caloric explosions, they tend to minimize over time. So you're starting a gaining phase. Just know that happens sometimes. Forget about it. Amnesia pill. Just keep doing your thing. Speaking of which, I just ended my cut. Got down to the low 180s. I didn't see a single 179 the way I thought I would. But it's time to get on my gaining phase and get back to the investing. So training's feeling good, but we had a few casualties in the gym. I'll get into that in the training montage. So let's roll with that. Well, guess what? We get to do a lot of this for the next few months. Shoulders and arms, baby. So it's not a bad deal. But how we got there wasn't exactly my favorite of stories. So, first of all, started with a pec. Left pec strained. I've dealt with this before. And I know, 4 to 6 weeks to get back to like working towards your baselines. With that one, I was like, okay, well, you know what? That's what I get, because I was probably redlining it a little bit more than I should have on my pressing. I was this close to, in the low 180s, getting 4 sets of 10 with 115-pound dumbbells. I was very content about that prospect, and probably should have been working at a pace that would have gotten me there like 3 to 4 weeks slower, given the caloric situation. But that one, I was like, cool. That's what I get, Bert. We'll deal with it. But the next one really had me like, ooh, with my dukes up. And that is, I thought I tore my calf, man. I was leg pressing. I was probably getting too assertive in regards to how low my feet were on the platform on this specific contraption. It's a leg press that, honestly, it's a decent leg press, but really only feels good when my feet are out wider. I was playing with something with a closer stance. And there it went. I thought it was torn. Turns out that it was just a pretty bad strain to my soleus, so not my gastro. Nevertheless, I don't have as much experience with this one, so we're going to play it safe the next 4 to 6 months, given the fact that I can't really do any assertive squat patterns. And just given the fact that, man, my arms and shoulders, they need a little tender love and care. Not so much the shoulders. The shoulders, you'll see, those things just blow up like super, super quickly. But the arms,
let's do this. So 4 months to really get our act together in regards to the whole shoulder situation. So I'm excited. Honestly, it's a nice enough change of pace where I'm sticking to something I'm making moves that are relevant to my long-term goal, but they're different enough where it's like, hey, this feels kind of good. It's been fun. And I'll tell you what, this has been something that, look, I'm gonna give myself props here because I think this it's something you should do, right? Sometimes as athletes, especially as bodybuilders, we tend to be overly critical about just a host of different things, right? So every time I've dealt with something like this, like it surprised me as like how well I do respond to it. So right away, when my brain goes, it's like, okay, let me learn about what happened. How can I work with this? And in regards to the what am I going to do now? It's like, all right, we'll reallocate a lot of our time and energy into something else. So it's going to be shoulders, it's going to be it's going to be arms, and I'm quite excited about that. Um, yeah, and especially given how well I held up during the quarantine, not so much strength, but that still surprised me. How well I held up at a muscular level. I'm like, you know what? With what I am throwing in here, it's gonna stick around. Who knows? Like some of these strong body parts might even get better. So yeah, took a few days off. Last week was pretty short, but this training week was actually, yeah, quite. I'd say a little bit more. We're getting into figuring out how it is that we're going to space this whole situation, trying out some new movements. This is that pull down that my boy Kasim's been throwing around the Instagram. This thing's been going viral, rightfully so. Great movement. But already I'm like, that's why you record yourself. Because look, even myself, 21 years, almost 22, say that way too frequently, but I'm proud because I've endured. There's things that I catch on video that I'm like, all right, let's solve this. So I have homework to do given this movement. But yeah, we're gonna make lemonade given this situation. And at the end, I'm gonna find a way for this to be a net win, both in regards to the experience up here and then in regards to like what happens to the physique. So this is where I am with my pec. So my pec, again, I strained it about 3 weeks ago, possibly 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago now. So look, 90s on the incline, feet up for now. Um, for now, just because it kind of governs how much load I can use. I'm human. So yeah, 90s, not bad, not bad. So again, one thing that I can almost do in peace is this clavicular head. So it's like, again, going back to like, but what can we do about it? Given the situation, what can we do? It's like, hey, I'm gonna give myself a little shelf up here because I've always had like a P-shaped pec where like the bottom is just very overdeveloped compared to top. I think that goes for most people, but I think it's especially true when it comes to myself. It's always been just like rib cage up here. So my fucking aorta just showing through, but that might be wrong at a anatomical level, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, you know what? Like again, I'm gonna do what I can when it comes to this. So look, we got down to the 180 mark. That's about as far as we need to go. Next, yeah, I'm gonna say 8 months. We're gonna try to gain between 8 to 12 pounds, and I think I've kind of stabilized in regards to bloat. So my top end weight, I think, is gonna be 184, 185. So I'll probably be 195, rinse and repeat. Bring it back down. Get down during my next cut to about the 175 range, and we'll go from there. So, in regards to my lower body, like what am I gonna do? This is about as deep as I can go on a leg press, about as deep as I'm willing to go. So again, doesn't look all that bad at all. I'm gonna start this next week when I am hitting up my soleus work. We're just not gonna dorsiflex. We're just basically gonna have the foot flat and add ROM from there on. So hey, in a way, like honestly, like um, again, I always come out like learning a lot when it comes to these sort of situations. And then, look, this isn't my wheelhouse, but when something does happen to one of my athletes, I'm better able to help them, even if it just is from a, let's just reframe things in your mind for a little bit, sort of way. So yeah, this is about what I can do. Still wasn't bad load. I think it was like just under 800 pounds, but that ROM was kind of broish, but whatever. Having fun on this leg extension. I mean, it's a leg extension, so I can go pretty hard. And I mean, we all have that inner masochist in us that just would love to redline everything. And I can do that a little bit more with this leg extension here. So mostly loading the short position on this bad boy. And yeah, it's just fun. It's fun. Knees, absolutely no issue with this. Yeah, so anyhow, that's where I'm at, man. Kind of a rocky start. What can you do, right? Reality is what it is, right? So it's up to me to work with that, and then hopefully over time make it so that what the landscape looks like is more along the lines of what I want. And then something will happen that just rips that shit apart. But that's just how it is. That's the name of the game. So, so again, happy with where I'm at. Cut was successful. Back to gaining. Gonna have some shoulders. Gonna have some arms. Look at that flat chest. I can't wait to get back to that thing. So again, about 2, 3 more weeks, we'll be able to actually start pressing some weight. Have that shelf, and hopefully you guys notice. So anyhow, thank you for joining me. Hope you guys like the new format. I'll see you guys again next week. I'm done brainstorming. Time to get back at it. Appreciate each and every one of you guys.